Canine Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Grubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists.
It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hi, and welcome to the Canine Detection Collaborative podcast. We're here to talk to Crystal Wing and to get to know her a little bit better. My name is Stacy Barnett. I'm one of your hosts, and my other host here is Robin Grubel.
Hi, everybody.
And we're here to get to know Crystal a little bit better. So hi, Robin. Hi, Crystal. How are you guys?
We're good.
Pretty fantastic. Can't wait.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Crystal, I would love to know a little bit more about the dogs that you spend your life with right now. Like, tell us a little bit about your dogs and what you're doing with them currently.
All right. That's my favorite topic in the whole wide world. So what a great question. I currently have 4 dogs laying next to me. 2 of them are Malinois. One of them is a Dutch Shepherd, and one of them is a Malinois Lab mix. And all of this started because I had a gateway dog named Charles, and it was about 10 years ago. And he was a rescue dog because that's what I grew up through, is my parents doing rescue. And so we started some sports. I got a German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd got me into all of this craziness. So now I have a high energy house that we do protection sports, and then a protection sport dog is kind of a failure at the protection sports. He doesn't like to bite, right? You got to like to bite if you want to do protection sports.
Theoretically, yeah.
So is that a failure? I don't know. It's just he didn't do the thing that I wanted him to do. And so we had to explore some other options.
He's different career. He didn't want to do that, so he had to choose a new career.
What do they say? You change careers an average of 8 times in your life, and that's about what he's on.
Okay.
And so that took me into the search and rescue world, which then took me into all kinds of craziness. So that's kind of the really short story. If you want longer stories, I could talk about these 4 dogs all day long.
So now one of them has the IGP3. Am I saying that correctly? I haven't done any protection sports, so I could be completely massacring titles and that sort of thing. So apologies for that. But maybe tell us a little bit about, what you've done with Quinn there, because I think that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that's why I love this collaboration so much, because I do kind of bring something a little different to the table, right? So let me go back a little bit and tell you his backstory. So Quinn is my unicorn, and he is a Malinois. And when I first got him, I thought it was a Malinois because I'd only read the word. I hadn't heard the word. So
Malinois.
And I really wasn't too far off, because he is kind of a Malinois, especially when he's frustrated. He's very Malinoisy. So the backstory for him, kind of where it all started, he's 12 now. And so 12 years ago, I was in a working dog club, and I actually found that club kind of on a funny story. Maybe I should go way back then. Sorry. Whoa. To help you understand how I would get into this kind of craziness, right? So a German Shepherd that we found in the woods in Kansas City, which is in Missouri, in the middle of the United States, they were shooting at this poor dog because they thought he was a wolf. Okay. We don't have wolves in suburbia in Missouri. That's just not happening. So being in rescue, my mom's like, you have to come save him. He's a Malinois. So that takes us back to another example of Malinois. So I show up in Kansas City to meet this dog that is just emaciated. I mean, just nothing to him. Skin is falling off, no fur, just a real wreck, right? So he becomes mine, because that's what we do. And now we fast forward a little. No, actually, I'm trying to find something to do with German Shepherds. So you type in German Shepherd activities into the Googles, and there's this thing called Schatzhund. So again, I will put this out there. If you ever hear someone mispronounce something, just know that they're really good at reading and they've never heard the word. And so politely help them understand how to say that word.
key life skill right there.
Right?
Oh, my goodness.
And I guess as being a high school art teacher, maybe I'm always full of those kind of life hacks. So I learned about this thing called Schutzhund, which is actually Schutzhund. And it just happens to be that there's a field right down the road. Like, how lucky is that? Because, they're not as common here in the United States. So 10 minutes from the house, and I was actually on a second date with a guy, and we're driving by this field. And I'm like, oh, look, they're down there with dogs. Now, I need to kind of explain what's happened to Ike in the meantime. He has had a double FHO, which is where they take the hips, because his hips were really bad, and they basically remove the top part of the femur. And
wow.
So he's a beast of a dog, right? Right after surgery, he was up and moving and walking around the kitchen and pushing the kennels out of the way because he was not going to be held back, because that is who Ike was.
Wow.
So I needed something amazing for this dog because he's quite the force.
Yeah.
Well, he's the force, right? Smartest dog I ever met. So we show up at this field with this dog in the back seat who has shaved hips. He's literally leaking from his hips from the surgery incisions.
Oh.
Now, if anyone is in the sport world, I want you to picture this, or any working dog world.
Wow.
You have a person that pulls up to your field, just random.
In a sedan with a dog in the back seat, just out of surgery. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. They just had FHO. They're laying on blankets, and they say, yeah, I was looking up this thing on the Googles, what to do with dogs. And I think he might have some German Shepherd in him.
Oh my.
Okay, I'm a wreck. Okay. You don't know what you don't know, and you have to find the right people, and you got to find your tribe.
Wow. Yeah.
So I pull in, and a real nice lady named Kate comes over, and she goes, well, you definitely have a German Shepherd. I'm like, how do you know? Like, I wanted to try to get him tested or something. She's like, no need. And so she so graciously takes me over and shows me her amazing German Shepherd who looks just like mine, and then shows me another sable German Shepherd that looks just like the other dog in the club. And I'm like, these are my people. And they're out there training with little boxes that make noises. And I'm like, what is happening? So it's like this just amazing thing. And then all of a sudden it's time for protection. Yeah. And love at first bite.
Wow. So that's what got you into it. Then you ended up, now you're like a decoy, like a, certified and all that kind of good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Kind of cool like that. No.
For those of us who don't have dogs that bite. Okay, I have one.
Well, it's whatever that front part of your brain is that says dogs shouldn't bite you. That part didn't form in my brain. Yeah. And I've always kind of liked the adrenaline type things. So that first moment when I saw the dog running down the field and the guy puts up his arm and he puts up a stick in his other hand and the dog flies and bites his arm and swings him around.
And you're like, I want to do that. I want to be that guy.
100%, I mean, that's normal, right?
Does it hurt? Oh, I've always wanted to know, is it,
So if you do it wrong, yes, it could hurt the dog and it could hurt you.
Okay. I'm thinking more you because I'm picturing teeth. But yeah, I do understand that,
so
it could hurt the dog
teeth.
if you do it wrong. Yeah.
And they're biting you.
They're biting, exactly.
Now, I will say in IGP, I've never, I need some wood around before I say this, never been hurt. Well, no, just kidding. I tore my shoulder. I forgot about that. But I haven't been hurt from the actual bite.
Okay.
So no, the sleeve itself, you can feel pressure, but you don't feel pain. Now in Mondioring, which I'll maybe talk about in a second, that one, I live with quite a few bruises. The main thing that happens is if you don't wear, and even when you do wear scratch pants, which is like a protective clothing that you wear, because the dog nails, right?
Right.
You get pretty bruised up. And so that leaves for some pretty funny stories, like when you go to the doctor and they ask you if everything is okay at home.
I've actually had that conversation.
Right? And that's, I think a lot of dog people can relate to that one.
Funny story. A lot of cat people can too. All you have to do is try to pill a cat.
Oh yeah.
Or
bath.
Cut a cat's claws.
Oh yeah.
You're going to have the same issue. We're just,
yeah.
I'm just putting that out there.
I was actually like, no, look, they're in the shape of paw prints. You can actually see the pad. Yeah. My doctor's just looking at me going, okay. Yeah.
I think with mine though, because the dogs are like German Shepherds and Dobermans, and the paws are rather large, and so it really does look like fingerprints. And so you have these, and you have these like bruises that are like ripped down your leg from your thigh to your knee. So it's pretty much just solid bruise from like my belly button down to my shins. Oh, and then if decoy work starts happening, then you have arms, you have stomach, you have all kinds of bruises everywhere. So you just kind of have to either make sure that you have a right kind of protection or, anyway, totally normal, right?
So one of the things I know that, because we got to know each other pretty well, but one of the questions, so you're like this declared introvert.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Declared, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That then now goes out and acts for dogs as a decoy?
Think about this, not only this introvert, but you have to know how much I love dogs, because I took this guy who I think we were on a second date, and I said, we have to go meet these people. That's not what introverts do. Okay.
No.
Okay. True.
So
yeah.
If that tells you how much I love dogs.
Okay.
So those are my people, right? So, that's why I fit here. You all have me kicking and screaming on a podcast though, because that was not on my radar.
We're like, we're doing a podcast, Crystal. She's like, you are? Yeah, we are.
I can't wait to hear you guys. I love listening to you and talking to you, but so I show up and they got these stupid little boxes that I think are just really entertaining. The fact that they can teach dogs to bite, and all they have to do is just click a box and give them some food and give them some bites. I'm like,
oh, you mean a clicker? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, a little clicker.
Okay.
Little box
like little black boxes. I'm like, what are those?
I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm picturing like boxes, like cardboard boxes.
I just couldn't believe it. I was like, that's all you have to do. And so then I was fascinated by that. And I even tried it on my students in class a couple times.
Did it work?
How did they respond?
The dogs or the kids?
The kids. I know how dogs respond to clickers. I'm good with that.
It was quite fun. And then the best part was that Christmas, I took it home to my family and we played clicker games together. So we shaped each other to do all kinds of stuff. That was our Christmas fun.
That's crazy.
Like, look at this fun game I learned.
I
learned all of these things and I was excited about getting bit. And so I got introduced to it from this first club and they were so great to me. And then we formed our own club, and we've been with Evolution Working Dog Club for, I think our 5th anniversary just happened. So that means I've been a certified helper now for 6 years.
So how do you become a certified decoy or helper? There's a difference, and I don't know this stuff, right? So there's a difference between decoys and helpers and...
Yes, correct. So helper is for IGP, which used to be called IPO, which used to be called Schutzhund.
Okay. So IGP.
Yes. So currently IGP. So a lot of people are like, what's this IGP thing? And so to become certified, it means that you need to work dogs. You're going to have to learn technique. You have to learn the trial picture. And then you have to go to certifications, and then they give you different rankings. And so I've worked a few trials now. And I had excellent ratings in the last one. So I was really happy with that and had some national competitors there. And it was a pretty fantastic thing. And then I told my club, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm just getting too old and I'm not strong enough. And of course, that's what I kind of think I always say somehow. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And so now we're planning a huge decoy and helper seminar up at Canine Census at Robin's in June. And so that's a huge thing called Inspire for women to be able to come up and learn how to decoy and learn how to be a helper. The helper is for IGP and the decoy is for ring sports. So like Mondioring, French ring, KNPV. And so with that, you wear an entire suit, not a mask, but just covering your torso, arms, legs, that sort of thing.
It's because, the face isn't important. You don't have to worry.
Yeah, no. And your hands are exposed, so they're fine too. So we're all good. We don't need hands and faces, not important.
So for IGP, you wear just a sleeve and scratch pants.
Correct. And in both sports, at different points, you have a stick as well. And I think that's been controversial. And if people saw what I did, they would probably think, oh my gosh, she's beating her dog. And what it is for IGP, we have a padded stick. And it's a lot just to see because it's police based, right? So it's kind of like a sport for police dogs. So this isn't something that I would do, say with like, I had to be careful on my breeds because like we have border collies and poodles and all kinds of different breeds that you may not expect doing it. So now I'm kind of like, what breed can I say?
A really soft mouth lab.
We have some really nice labs that are doing it. Right? I have to be so careful.
Yeah.
So a terrier because they're tiny.
Yeah, but there are some terriers doing it.
Yeah, but
too.
they have to jump over a meter hurdle and over a 6-foot wall. So that's going to
okay.
limit a little bit of the size, right? So it's maybe a little sizest in the sport.
Got it.
Oh, yeah. So it has a padded stick and you have to act like you're really mad. And I remember the first time that I actually caught the dog, I was having so much fun. I could not stop laughing and smiling. And they were all like, okay, the idea is you're supposed to be a bad guy. I'm like, maybe I'm like that really high on drugs bad guy. So they're like, no, that's not what it's about. So it's all about acting, and you have to bring a lot of pressure because that's what it's supposed to be, is like this test. And it's supposed to be a breed test to see primarily for German Shepherds. And so that's how I found this sport. But now Malinois are pretty common. They are, kind of my chosen dog. I'm in love with my Malinois.
And you're a little half.
Little half. And that's how we became friends, with my little half mutt.
That's right. That's right. I saw a picture of her and you kept posting these photos. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's adorable. And when I looked at that mix, I'm like, oh boy, like either amazing or hot mess. Like, because
one of the two.
I know how Labradors are going to be, and yikes, or oh my god, incredible. I have a feeling, especially with you working her, she's on the oh my god, incredible side of it.
She's a pretty smart little cookie. She's
little cool. She's really cool. Radish.
Little lab Malinois, yeah, radish, right?
Radish.
And of course, we all have our ways of finding names, and some people take longer than others, Robin. And
never like 3 days to pick out a name. Yeah.
I always have the name before I get the dog. I can't help it. It's just.
I say that, but if anybody goes to my Facebook, they're going to see that I really struggle with Checkmate's name. It was like a week. The only reason his name came up was because I kept saying, he did this thing, check. He did this thing, check. And they're like, you should call him Check. And I'm like, that's a terrible name. His name is Check. But radish I found because I like 2-syllable words. And so I just typed in 2-syllable word, and then I went to the second page and said, I'm going to find a name on this page. And then radish was there. And of course I fell in love with that because she's rad. And when you go on Facebook and you type in rad, do it. It's fun. Like all kinds of thumbs explode.
Oh yeah. It comes out with a different color.
Yes.
Yeah.
So every time. And even when she's not perfect, she's still radish.
And her sister is also a vegetable, right? So
yeah. My best friend has her sister named Carrot.
That's so great.
So we have to root for our vegetables.
That's so great.
And then we found out that their uncle's name is Tater, which had no idea. That was after the fact we learned that. And their mom's name is Coco, so it's a stretch. But then their brother, who just went to go down to the border, I guess, for Border Patrol, they were calling him Turnip.
That's incredible.
Root for our vegetables around here.
Oh my gosh.
That's incredible.
But you asked me about Quinn earlier, and I have my ADHD here, and so I go on little random little trails. But so Quinn, my little unicorn dog, with my obsession with this new sport to me at the time, I got him after we found out that Icon really couldn't do it. He didn't have hips to do it, and so I needed to get a dog for it. And I was so lucky to get Quinn from Logan House with Mike Suttle, and he is absolute unicorn dog. He has taught me so much, right? Everybody has their special dogs. He's mine, right?
Oh, yeah.
Your heart dog.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
He's laying right here, making all the old man grunts and farts that he does. And I adore him for everything he does. I say that he has inflammatory bowel disease. So it's kind of a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sitting here going, I mean, I knew he had that going on. I'm thinking, oh,
yeah.
Yeah. There's part of that smell that,
Well, and I think I needed to bring that up too, because I felt bad that on Stacy's interview, we talked about poop, I think twice. So I needed to somehow normalize.
But I have it in my freezer. It's different. So.
Well, and I think too,
and it's a different species. So
it's true, but it makes me think too, I think when people maybe see what I do with my dogs with the protection sports, they think it's probably a little bit out there. And it's funny because when you're in it and you're with your little group of people, it's just the norm. It's just the thing you do. And I think, that's kind of all of us with our dogs, I guess.
Right. You mean we don't all live with like 5 dogs in the house and
right?
We don't
have crates on every floor.
My 4 dogs in my 900 square foot house, right?
That's crazy talk. You mean there are people that have actual back seats in their vans?
I know. Go figure on that one.
I don't know.
People don't sleep in their van all summer. What?
Yeah. Right?
So tell me a little bit about, so you have all this background in protection sports and everything. And, now you're into the search and rescue, you're doing human remains detection and everything. What have you brought from the protection side? What did you learn from there that you're applying for search and rescue? What are those main concepts? Because we all know that when we do one thing, right, we're able to take those concepts and we apply them somewhere else. But what specifically are you applying?
Just the concept that training is simple, but it's not easy. Right? It's good training is good training, and it doesn't matter what sport or what area. It's all about having clear criteria. It's about the foundation of engagement. And that is honestly, I think, why I was so hooked on that very first moment when I went down and met these crazy people at this field, and I saw how much fun they were having. And I wanted every moment of that. Like I wanted that to be me with my dog. That's awesome. So I feel like with that engagement as the bottom relationship piece that builds everything else, it doesn't matter what I'm doing with my dog. That is where it all starts. So that's what I've brought across, I believe. And I feel that as a decoy and a helper for my club, that's something that I really have to focus on, is how to help. And I'm the training director for my group as well. So I really have to make sure that I can help them create that engagement with their dogs. And I do that through play. So that's kind of my little, I'll call it niche in the world. And I believe that as a decoy, like you said, Robin, we have to act. And so if I'm going to build a puppy up, a puppy's way smaller than me, but I have to make that puppy think that it can totally kick my butt. It can rip my arm off, like all of these great things, So for a young dog that's starting, I have to act like a rabbit that it can totally just take down. And then I have to start kind of matching. And then, all the way up until when I have a Quinn who, that boy, he's got the fight. Like he can take me down. Then not now, he's 12 and old and, sleeping next to me. And that's where Checkmate is my next up and coming boy. And it's fun because he's had the chance to give quite a few people their first bites. And I really enjoy that about him. And so Stacy, just letting you know, you have now been designated in August. You're going to get your first bite from Checkmate. You asked, hey, you put it out there earlier. You said you wanted to know what it felt like. So
what? I don't remember this conversation.
Yep. It's recorded.
Right? We're doing distraction camp in August.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't taken my first bite from Checkmate, so we'll both do it that week.
Yes. This needs to go YouTube live.
We're going to be doing like shots beforehand.
No, that's a bad idea.
Probably no wine. Probably.
Oh my gosh.
So little Mr. Checkmate is kind of awesome because he's allowed you to do a couple of different, because you've done IGP with him, but you've also done French ring and PSA.
Close. So Quinn earned his IGP 3, which is the highest title that you can get in that sport.
Right.
Awesome.
And then he switched over for retirement, which that's kind of a joke, right? Because Mondioring is another sport we do. And so Quinn got his brevet, which is just not just, I don't want to say that. It was kind of a big deal for switching over as a retired dog, but it's the intro title, and that's for Mondioring. And if you compare the two sports, just for anyone that doesn't understand or know the sports, which understandable because not many do, right? Stacy and Robin are both like, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I kind of look at IGP as the triathlon of a protection sport. So you have a tracking phase where the dog is footprint to footprint, like very obedient tracking style. And then you have obedience, where it's dumbbells and retrieves and very precise precision obedience. And then you have protection phase. So it's like, the triathlon, 3 parts. Then you have Mondioring. And I mean this no disrespect to call it kind of the circus environment. And I only call it that because you do not know what you're.
I think it's intended to be kind of, it's very.
Yeah.
There's lots
it's
of
going to
stuff.
be, right.
Stuff.
It's going to be a different theme every time. And so that's set by the club. So you don't know what you're going to see. There's a different order of events every time. There's stuff everywhere. It is a blast. And with that, you still have more limited scent stuff. You have a search for the bad guy. So there's scent incorporated there. There's another activity called Little Wood. So any sport that has Little Wood in it makes me happy. Because I should go back and remind you, I do teach high school.
Little Wood, they're actually looking for like a dowel.
Oh, you do know things. Robin Grubel, look at you.
I do pay attention during our conversations.
And then there's lots of obedience, like leaving food and healing. And, there's just all the long down and that sort of thing. And then protection in the phase of Mondioring is going to be in a full suit. And it's just a little bit different picture. So 2 amazing sports. And so Quinn got his brevet in that sport. And of course, I loved it. So now with Checkmate, he has his brevet. And then the beginning title in IGP, you have to heal a lot and then heal some more and then heal some more after that. And then you have a BH. So that's what he has. And there's also a traffic portion. They have to prove that they're not going to kill anybody or kill any other dogs. So that's always a positive. They're stable. And so he has that. And then on a whim, it was a couple weeks, we were out training with some friends here local. And on a whim, they said, hey, we have a PSA trial in town. I'm like, I don't know what that is really. I mean, I've seen some competitions, but I don't know what it is to get a PDC. So in 2 weeks, so I had 2 sessions with a local decoy, Joey Morris. He did a great job, and he got us set up. And in 2 reps, we learned how to do a PDC, and we showed up and earned that.
What is a PDC? And I know PSA is another organization for bite sports, but what is a PDC?
So through the Protection Sports Association, the PDC is their intro title, and it's some healing, some position changes, that sort of thing. The carjacking was probably the most fun thing to get to teach. Yes, carjacking.
That's like where the dog like launches in the side of the window or something. And
well,
in through the window,
you get in the car. Yeah, so most people just rent a U-Haul. So now you know when you're U-Haul what people are doing with it.
Wow.
They had a truck for us though. And so it has to be like I forget that it's called like the long seat in the front, not the individual seats. And so you get in and I have Lyme disease, which affects my hands, which I got that from doing search and rescue work, but that's another thing. And so I couldn't really hold the leash. And so you have to like put a muzzle on them and do all these things and take it off and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm trying to get the leash and I get all that. And I have to like wrap it around the steering wheel because when it comes time for the attack, the decoy comes up. And so I'm sitting at the driver's seat, Checkmate's sitting on the passenger seat, and I have to tell him to bark at the bad guy and to bite the bad guy if he attacks us.
Oh,
so
okay.
The bad guy comes up and he kind of talks to you for a second, and then he starts shaking a big thing full of rocks that makes a lot of noise. Okay. And then he throws his arm up into the car like he's going to jump up into the car, and your dog is supposed to like go from barking at him to biting him. Okay. And then you have to tell your dog to out. And then the guy freezes up and then he walks away and the dog has to keep barking at the bad guy. So that's just a carjacking scenario. But my biggest concern, all I could think about that whole time was don't let go of the leash. Sure. Because my hands weren't really working that day. Oh. And so I'm doing everything I have. I have it like wrapped around the steering wheel and that's all I could think of. So I did forget to tell him to bark again. So I barely passed that exercise when he could have done way better. But, that's handler stuff. You got to know your points. Then there's a couple other biting exercises and it was just a lot of fun. So I might go for the PSA 1. I think that'd be something enjoyable for us.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, that sounds exciting. Oh my gosh, lots of biting and all sorts of things.
Right. So I've got Quinn with the IGP3. I've got Check with the 3 titles. And then Yukon came along and he tried all the things. I tried Frisbee. I tried weight pull. Actually, I tried Mondioring and IGP first. And he said, nope, I don't want to bite things. And so then I tried agility with him. I did dock diving with him. Like, I really tried hard to find something that he could be great at besides just climbing on my roof at home. He's a very athletic dog. Robin's face. Yes. You know my stories
on
of the
your
dog.
roof?
Yeah. Crazy boy. He's a billy goat. He likes to be on the highest point possible wherever we are. And so knowing his climbing ability, his natural desire to go places, and his crazy good nose, that's what brought me into search and rescue work. And when he kept getting injured, go figure.
Yeah. Well, that shepherd get injured, go figure.
Yeah, sometimes. That's when I had met Robin actually last year this time, and I had begged her to get into her online class, and I didn't know her. And again, I'm going to remind you, introvert. Okay.
Right.
So for me to send a message to a person I don't know who is like this legend, Robin gets so mad when I call her that. So
I was just teaching this online class because everybody was stuck inside for COVID, right? So yeah, that was just this class.
So I begged to get in, and she's like, sure, I'll open a spot. I'm like, yes. And so then we became friends, which was pretty fantastic. And then the first time we got to meet was at Muscatatuck, which is like, it's like
dog training nirvana.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then at the same time, they were having like helicopter operations at night, and army guys are running everywhere, and they're doing simulations. And I'm like, what is happening? And I cannot wait to tell my high school students what I am doing right now. I am going to be the coolest teacher in the world.
Wow.
I feel like I'm like living 2 different lives here. So that was my first time to actually meet Robin in person. And it was kind of fun too, because we have other people that are there. And so we became pretty fast friends. And then, can I tell the fangirl story? So you ever know, like when you meet somebody that you really want to meet them, here's my thing is I've always really wanted to meet Robin and Stacy both. Right. So that was the really
don't
cool
bring
part.
me into this.
No. You'll be next. Don't worry. You'll be next.
Don't worry, Stacy. There was this whole conversation I ended up having. I'm like, why is Stacy taking classes from me?
Oh God, stop. Right.
So I show up at this Muscatatuck thing, and I signed up on Monday, and it was on Friday. It had been closed a long time. Again, introvert making moves. So
right.
I was like,
until you ask, it'll always be no.
You're right. And so I was getting brave, and I was asking, and things kept working out in my favor. So I showed up on Friday, and I didn't have a place because, well, I was an audit, really late audit. And so I'm like looking at this list, and I'm like, where's Robin? Where's Robin? I know her name. And then I pretty much just like followed you around like a lost puppy the whole weekend. And we became great friends. And then it even made me laugh because at that same time, there was a table of people that are now really close friends to us that I went over and talked to them, and they're like, you know, Robin.
I was like, I just want to show up to a training and just like not have to teach, right? I'm just here to train my dog. Just don't mind me.
I felt like it was like the 5 stages of Kevin Bacon or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 7 degrees of separation or 5.
Yeah, 7 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really funny because you start looking at who knows who, and you're like, oh my God, I'm like 2 people away from whoever.
Right.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon, yeah.
Right, actually.
Right. But that was our Muscatatuck experience. And then I think it was right after that, I guess, I spent most of my summer sleeping in my van in Robin's front yard.
It is a big front yard, though.
It is a big front yard.
It is a big front yard. And you were right next to the donkeys. So
it was heaven on earth. It was so wonderful.
So as long as the wind was going one direction, it didn't change direction. We were just fine.
Actually, I was just fine the whole time. I could have slept. Actually, a couple of times I fell asleep in the donkey pen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I spent the whole summer there getting to photograph all of the amazing handlers. And it was almost like getting to fast track in understanding, right? So I was already ate up with detection and nose work and understanding scent theory. And I had already joined a search and rescue team, and I already had Yukon in the process of learning all the things and getting to spend every day behind a camera, getting to listen to all of the amazing instructors that Robin brings in, and her and Jen and everybody else that's there. And then getting to watch every single dog work. You know, they talk about, was it 1,000-hour eyes? I mean,
1,000 dog eyes.
Yeah. I'm talking like in a summer. It was the most
Wow.
incredible experience ever.
Wow.
So can I tell my Stacy story now?
Yes.
So it was kind of funny. I do a gratitude thing every night. So every night I focus on gratitude. And so I was curious not too long ago, when's the first time that Stacy and I actually talked? So I went back to Messenger because that's how we communicate to see what our very first post was even. And it was me doing a gratitude post to Stacy because I had taken a webinar. And I thought it was so fantastic. And, I was like, I know you don't know me. And I was just on this webinar and just wanted to tell you how fantastic it was and how much I learned. But here's my thing too. I don't know if you ever get this feeling, but there's certain people that you watch or meet and you're like, I want to be their friend one day. And that was me with Stacy. So it was at the Finzi camp was that 2017 that you guys were in St. Louis?
Oh, I don't remember.
It feels like that. It was somewhere around that year.
I feel like it's been 2017 since our last Fenzi camp. It's been a couple of years. It keeps getting canceled.
Yeah, right.
So.
But you guys were at Purina Farms here in St. Louis.
We were.
Yeah. And we went as a dog club. And so everybody signed up for different sessions. And so everybody kind of took the ones that I'll say, air quotes, applied to what we were doing in protection sports. And I was like, fine, I'm going to go do this nose work thing. Had no idea at the time that I would be sitting here on a podcast focusing on detection. Wow, right? And so then it ended up, I kind of just followed you the whole weekend, not in a creepy way. Just from workshop to workshop. And I was this is really cool. Like, I can't wait to learn this. So fast forward to when I'm up at Robin's sleeping in my van. Right. That's what I do. And then Stacy contacts Robin while I'm up there and says, can we come up and train? And I'm like, what? This is fantastic. And this is who Stacy is. And
I'm still like, why is she taking classes from me?
Like, it's going to be awesome.
You're brilliant.
Okay, whatever.
And then when I find out when you're going to be there, and I was going to be there for that day, I was like, this was meant to be.
It was
enough.
Just so cool to spend time with both of you guys. It was amazing.
It's kind of okay.
Yeah, really, really cool. Really cool on Robin's incredible farm, so.
I learned a lot setting up problems. I'm like, because you're right. The nose work odors move differently than some of the other odors, right? And so it was even just fascinating for me to set up hides and watch the odors move more quickly.
Yes.
Them moving otherwise, because you're like, no, we just go work them. I'm like, you don't let them sit.
I do a little bit, but honestly, if you put them outdoors, it's almost like they're aged immediately, just because of the exterior airflow.
Fascinating.
Indoors is a little different. It takes a little bit longer to age because obviously you don't have as much of an open airflow. But yeah, I mean, you put out a hide, it's available.
So Crystal, what do you do? Like and nobody can see the air quotes for your real job, right? What pays for the dog habit?
Yeah. 20-year high school art teacher, been in the same classroom since the day I walked in. And so you can only imagine how colorful and crazy that room is. It's probably, it explodes out into the hallway, if that can describe my room.
That's incredible.
And I never understand it, that every time they have visits to the school, they always bring people up to my room. And I'm like, why would you do that? Because it's a mess. It's so crazy. But it's almost like the casino classroom of the school because there's just so much going on. We painted the tiles on the ceiling. All the walls are covered. The cabinets are covered. It's art everywhere. We do a creative bank account. And I always feel that we should surround ourselves with the things that we're passionate about. And so I think I then take that from my classroom. And then at night I do that, with my dog passion as well.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, right?
A creative bank account.
Yeah, check out Jake Parker. He's an artist, and he created this idea of a creative bank account. And I think it's great for anyone because they talk about, creative capital, that you'll be as creative as kind of what you surround yourself by. It's kind of like the same thing with friendship, right? It's whoever your tribe is, whoever you hang out with. What do they say? Don't be the smartest person in the room. So, Hi guys.
I could see how being an artist and having that creative side would be so powerful as a dog trainer, because you start thinking about what are different ways of thinking about things, what are different ways of like picturing, like how you could, the problem solving. There's an art to training.
Absolutely.
It's not just it's not supposed to be a recipe, right? So I could really see how being an artist actually because you have that kind of, different way of thinking, so that you're not thinking linearly, right?
Right.
You kind of think about things probably more conceptual than a lot of people, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So yeah. Are you able to see kind of how that affects you or how that impacts you?
I mean, my first 2 weeks of class, that's the number one thing I point out to the students is imagination is your most powerful tool as a trainer. And so I really beat that in the head of my students because I think that as students in the high school and also just in life, like our imagination is so powerful. And I feel like we kind of cap that off. And even in my classroom, I'm constantly trying to get my high school kids to embrace that inner child again. They've already locked it away. And so that's what I spend so much of my energy on, is just trying to bring out the creativity and the imagination again. And especially these dogs, like think about, how they are. They're kind of like little kids in a way. And so that's what I want other trainers to bring out. And I think that's where I'm pretty decent at play that way, because I know how to play with the dogs because I can embrace that inner child. I don't mind if I need to.
A lot of people struggle with that. They struggle with that. Yeah.
What, as you think about on imagination and training with your dogs, right? What are some of the more kooky things that you may have done?
Oh, geez.
that people are like, I mean, I'll give you an example. It's one of those things where, right, I kind of think I have a lot of toys in the back of my car, right? Until Crystal shows up and has a giant trash can.
Recycle bin.
Trash can.
Oh, it's a recycle bin.
Recycle bin. Yeah.
Full of toys. And I'm just, and then, oh my God, the go fur balls. Go dog fur balls.
Yeah, go dog fur balls. Yeah, I should have somehow bought stock in those.
No.
And the squishy face flirt poles. Yeah, yes. I should have somehow done a a thing where you have to go through a link that I get money for those. I could have made some serious
What's
money.
Something like super imaginative, or that you think people look at you a lot of the time and you're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, crazy lady?
So much of that happens in Mondioring, especially. We have to set up defensive handler activities. And so with that, you have a decoy who walks you around and has you do things, and your dog has to just chill out and walk with you until the decoy hits you. And so when the decoy hits you with both hands, then the dog is supposed to bite the decoy. So it's, I'm going to protect mom or dad or whatever it may be. And pretty much whenever I go places, they like to have me do that because, I'll have people wearing bowls on their head. I'm pretty imaginative when it comes to the defensive handler, and we call it defensive handler just because we're silly. But those exercises, I feel like I'm pretty creative at, and just in general, we think outside of the box. And I think that's a lot of because how we train, we've limited the tools that we can use. And so in doing that, I think that also kind of sets us apart a little bit, meaning us as in our training club. And primarily my best friend, Nancy, man, she really puts up with a lot for me. I'm like, wait a minute, how about we try this? The one day, okay, so this would be a Nancy story. Her amazing German Shepherd, Ben, he was having a little bit of confusion about, he's supposed to come in and bark at me, but not touch me. And he decided that no, he was going to experiment. And so came in and he started barking at me, and then he bit the sleeve. And so there's a blind that you stand in. It's like a little teepee. It's fabric. It has 3 little poles, if you can imagine that shape. And I'm standing in it hiding. And I just melted. The blind fell down. I fell down. Nancy fell down. And so poor Ben is standing there.
Oh my gosh, poor Ben.
Right? He looks around like, what just happened?
Wow.
And it was really clear communication. It didn't hurt him. He was just really like, I don't know you weirdos. And so she sets him back up. He comes in, does a beautiful hold and bark, and he gets rewarded the way he, gets to bite. We get to fight because that's what he loves to do. So yeah, we'll do some random things. It's kind of whatever comes to my brain. So training with me, you have to be flexible. There's definitely no method. There's no protocols. It's going to be, we're going to wing it.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
And I appreciate the fact that I can call you and be like, I'm having this, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this. And it's really why it's really important to have a training tribe, because, I have a couple people that I call and I'm like, okay, I'm having this training issue. And when I'm having one of those, I can't figure out what I'm doing. And actually, I've learned a lot about play.
Yeah.
Right. From watching Crystal play, not only with my dogs, but with other people's dogs. And the puppies that I've got right now are so benefiting from that whole thing. So I'm like, oh, channel my inner Crystal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still am pretty much too old woman for that or something. I don't know. Because I'm like, we talk about embracing your inner 6-year-old girl who won a free pony. But oh boy, is it still hard to do, even when you think you do it pretty well. And then you watch somebody like Crystal who can do it and look like, she's going to take out this big pointy-eared dog. And I'm like, really? You're being nice. I don't know how to read that. I don't read that very well.
It is true. Like dogs, all of a sudden, like when people are really engaging, right? Like dogs can just they just read that and they just eat it up, I think that's probably a part of, that tapping into your inner child there. That is probably, like from Crystal's perspective, the fact that she's so creative and she's got, this artistic background that she's able to do that. That's incredible.
I do kind of feel like, without great rewards, what's my only option? I have to go to punishment, because that's what everything is built on for me. And so I have to make sure that I can really read a dog and understand what makes them tick. And it's not just when I say reward, I don't mean what toy they like, but what activity they like. Do they like striking? Do they like fighting? Do they like possessing? And that's most important. And I think so many people, the problem they have if there's like a takeaway for play, is that literally they try to take away the toy. They try to interact just with the toy. Yeah. And so much of it, I try to watch the dog. If I can get a chance to watch two kind of equally matched dogs that are friends, and they can play, that's when I learn the most. And so I really try to watch how they interact and what they enjoy. Do they like chasing? Do they like being chased? Do they like wrestling? And then I can kind of take some of those things that I watched and observe, and I can put that into how I play with the dog. And the dog will give you this look like, wait, that move? Okay, how about this? And, and they kind of bring their own little like twist to it. And then you're like, yeah, I can do that too. And they're like, wait a minute. And you really do get this communication happening. It's a dance. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about dog training and about helping others. And I mean, that's part of being a teacher, right? Is I love helping others, but I love helping the dog see that us humans, we can communicate and we can try to talk a similar language so that we can have these rewards that then with these rewards, it's going to help you figure out, kind of what we're trying to get you to do. Because man, to think that we live with these other species, I just, every day I keep looking over at my dogs. I just a little tear in my heart, right? They're just amazing that that they can do the things I ask them to do just because I can play with them. Like, really? How fantastic is that?
What would be like the biggest thing you would want people to know? Like if they had to like work on one thing, right, to play with their dogs, what would
that be?
What would that one thing be?
What's that aha moment for them?
Yeah. It's really, it's just paying attention to the dog. Every dog likes a different play style and being an observer. And I think that's what I notice. So it's just one thing though. You're killing me.
Just one.
I have to give you a couple.
So you think one of the aha moments I had from watching you teach here over the summer was the whole concept of don't play with the toy, play with the dog and the toy is the vehicle.
Yeah.
And so that actually totally helped me reframe how I think about the toy and then the activity that I'm doing with the dog, with the toy. So a lot of it comes from the fact that, well, if the dog doesn't want to play tug, we can do all sorts of other stuff with the toy than just play tug.
Yeah, I think I find a lot of handlers, they either only know how to throw a ball and the dog gets the ball and comes back and gets the ball and comes back. And they're like, my dog just loves this so much. It's all they want to do. They're so jacked about this. And it's like, well, have you ever tried other activities? Well, no, they just love this so much. Maybe it's because you love that so much. And so I feel like that's where that imagination is the most important tool we have, because I feel like we kind of get lost in one of two camps. It's either fetch the ball or it's tug, but the dog is just surviving the tug. We're just kind of thrashing the dog around and the dog is like, I'm holding on for dear life and I'm doing it. And are they really enjoying that?
Right. Because that's the only interaction I get is if we play tug. I'll be honest, right now I'm running around my living room with things flying off the back of me because I have a puppy who really likes to play chase, right? And she wants to bite it and then tug on it and then play chase again. So that's what we do.
Well, if you further the imagination thing, most of the toys that I use are from Flyball. I mean, they have some of the most amazing toys. And that's where a lot of my recycle bin bucket toys came from. And that was a Sarah Brewski trick that she taught me, was to go to these different tournaments and things at Purina and look at the vendors. And I have this leather, it's a buffalo tug. And that thing, I'm talking like it's lasted, I think that was 2 years ago I bought that. And that's gone through 2 Malinois right now.
Wow.
So yeah.
And Lisa loves that tug.
Oh, it's amazing. And I don't like necessarily having handles on my tug. So I prefer to have something I can hold on to. It's a little beefier. And I think people are surprised too by what textures and what things their dogs actually enjoy biting. They just kind of get the standard tug. Right. And that's as far as they go. Okay, well, what happens if we get a large round tug that's really soft and the dog grips into it and it squishes and the dog, look at its eyes. It just blissed out. It said, whoa, what just happened? And I think that's why the fur balls are so nice for so many dogs. Soft mouth dogs, hard mouth dogs, they, in the fur texture, some of them like to do that little predatory, like start taking a little fuzz off, they defuzz it. And so it's every dog's going to play differently. And it's about finding their style and really appreciating your individual dog. Don't just make them do what you know.
Prize one's a shoe.
Well, yeah, shoes are delicious.
Especially a slipper. So if you put a slipper on like a flirt pole,
game over.
Shoot, that would just be it for her.
I'm sure we could actually accomplish that.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
flipper on the slipper. Yeah,
I have a husband with all sorts of fantastic power tools.
Well, and even when you said flirt pole, like what a fantastic tool for teaching self-control. So all of the play that we create, that's also how we create all of our obedience. I mean, it's all started through play, which creates engagement, which then channels right into obedience, and play is work, work is play. It's all the same thing. And that's, man, like how cool is that?
Right.
So what would you say is like the one biggest mistake you see people make when it comes to playing with their dogs?
So I think it just goes back to what I was just thinking, when just you're choosing what you want to do instead of what your dog actually wants to do. So I'm a handler that only uses balls. I'm a handler that only uses tugs. Okay. All right. Well, what about your dog? So that's the biggest mistake, I think, is not actually reading your dog.
And I would agree with that because I see a lot of handlers. Well, in order to do what I want the dog to do, the dog has to be reinforced by playing tug or by playing fetch. And also, I work with a lot of puppies. So I can build a lot of that, but some of it, Dash, I don't want to play tug.
Yeah.
I want a fur ball. Thank you very much. And I want to in my mouth. If I get excited enough, I'll play tug.
Yeah.
But I'll still spit it out. So, I think you're right. We get very wrapped up into what we see the rest of our peer structure doing we think that that's what we need to do to play with our dog. Yeah. And they have to use a Kong or something, right?
Right. It's preconceived what has to happen. It's kind of the same thing as when you're training, if you're a trainer that believes that you only have one method that you can use, and it works for you, awesome. That is not my style. My style is I'm going to look at each handler. I'm going to look at each dog, and I'm going to use my imagination at times, and we're going to make something happen.
What do you do if you have like a handler that, I mean, you've seen these handlers, they get all stressed out. My dog won't play with me. So they like push the play on the dog. Like, you will play with me now, like that kind of thing. Like you see that where, all of a sudden the handler's either pushing or shoving the dog, or they're hitting the dog with a toy or whatever, trying to get them to play with it. Like, what do you do for those handlers?
A lot of times I don't do anything in the moment because it's not going to help anybody in that moment. And a lot of times I'll take them off to the side later and just kind of offer some, hey, I saw that, your dog is having a lot of fun and you're having a lot of fun, but I have some suggestions. So I always go to my kind of critique style that I use for school. It's like, I try to start with something that I like so that it kind of lets them know that, I am seeing what they're good at, because every handler has so many good things, just like every dog has so many great qualities. And it's good to notice those things and acknowledge those things. And then I think it's kind of a less abrasive way when I can just say, I wonder if, you tried this. Would you be willing to try that? Because I have a dog over here and I could give an example, of how it helped them. And typically handlers are pretty receptive to that. And a lot of times too, it gives me a chance to then say, well, would you mind if I play with your dog? And I think usually that's when there's some buy-in, when they see that all of a sudden their dog is doing things they never thought they could, and their dog is outing when their dog would never out before. And they're just like, how did that happen?
Magic.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's just
Magic.
Being super clear.
Yeah. That's so cool.
You set up a clear play style and the dogs catch on really fast.
That is really cool.
So, Crystal, this is kind of the one thing that we ask everybody. From our discussion today, what is the one thing you want people to take away?
Oh, I should have had an answer to this one in my head, shouldn't I have?
Kind of knew it was coming.
I know. I got caught up in the conversation, though. I guess I'll go to my standby here and I'll just say imagination really is your most powerful tool as a trainer. And I'm going to add, though, too, pay attention. Pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to how you feel, your dog feels. Pay your dog for attention. And it all goes back to using your imagination and how you pay. See how I kind of tied that back together? Oh, yeah. Put a little bow on that.
Yeah. I'm glad that we're recording it, because I think that is like a whole interesting concept that we need to talk about of paying attention, right?
Yes.
So
future podcast idea right there.
Right there.
It's stitched on my hat, and the front of my hat says reinforcer, and the back of the hat says hashtag pay attention.
All right. Well,
there you go. I like it. Okay, thank you, ladies. This has been so much fun. Thanks, everybody, for being part of the podcast, and we'll talk to you again.
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody up at Robin's. We have the Inspire Decoy and Helper Camp. We have the Distraction Camp in August. And then we have a couple functional obedience classes that I get to teach with Robin and Jen, and it's going to be so much fun. So hopefully not just seeing some faces online, but also getting to see you in person.
Yep, 2022 is going to be a ton of fun.
absolutely.
Canine Detection Collaborative.
We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.